Welcome back to Cosmos. Today I'm going to review episode 6. First, he started out explaining something that I explained in an earlier video about how entire, almost universes can exist in small, tiny areas, such as a dewdrop. And my favorite part about that was when he detailed the tardigrades. Tardigrades are by far my favorite freshwater invertebrate. And they're called water bears because they resemble cute little six-legged bears with weird alien mouth parts. And when he was explaining that they've survived even naked in the vacuum of space, he wasn't joking. They're called extremophiles, which means they can survive in the most extreme parts of the environment in extreme heat, like in the calderas of volcanoes, extreme cold, like exposed air in the Antarctic, and even the vacuum of space, and they'll rehydrate themselves. They go into a kind of stasis. They can remain that way for incredibly long periods of time, where there's even museums where they have them completely dehydrated and kept them that way for, I think it was like 50 years or so, and they came back like nothing had happened, which is wild. And then he talked about photosynthesis, which he said that animals have not yet harnessed the power of photosynthesis, which isn't entirely true. Hard and soft-bodied corals have symbiotic zooxanthellae, which are like blue-green algae. The zooxanthellae photosynthesize, which the corals use for food, and the way that the zooxanthellae benefit from this relationship is that they get the protection of living inside of a coral polyp. And coral bleaching is when corals expel these zooxanthellae and gain that white color. Next were Darwin and the orchids. I didn't know that orchids are among the first flowers to form. I didn't think that angiosperms, which are flowering plants, even came into being until after the dinosaurs. I didn't know that there was like a small overlap there. But I thought that was predominantly gymnosperms, which are non-flowering plants like pine trees. So anyway, back to angiosperms. I didn't know that orchids were among the first. Darwin has a habit of being proven correct years and years and years after his death. For example, when he theorized how coral atolls formed, which is rather than sediment layers building up and creating the half-moon to circular coral atoll, it's actually where the land comes up out of the ocean through like a volcanic island like the Hawaiian Islands, and then that slowly sinks back down into the ocean, leaving the coral left over, holding that sediment together. And that was proven right on Bikini Atoll decades and decades after Darwin's death. I've also gotten to see a coral sample given to the Peabody Museum at Yale by Charles Darwin himself, and it was one of the most magical experiences of my young life. Next, Neil went over the strong correlation between smell and memory, and that's because where your olfactory sensation is in your brain, it's close to where you make memories. So that's why smells create the most powerful memories attached to it, because all those structures are like buddies hanging out right next to each other. Next, we learned about nuclear fusion. I had no idea that's how nuclear fusion worked. Something can simply make atoms. I just figured that unwisely all the atoms in the universe just automatically existed and nothing was creating new ones, which obviously has some logical flaws in it. Now I know that nuclear fusion occurs in stars and that they pound protons together to make new elements. Then we learned about the amazing little things that are called neutrinos. If we could just figure out a way to trace a neutrino's path from start to finish, like backwards, so where it hits the Earth, where we have the detectors, like the super detector that's in Japan, if we can trace that back to its point of origin, we could figure out past that barrier that was discussed near the end of the episode and see the true birth of the universe, which is mind-boggling and terrifying and exciting, and I hope that one day that's possible, even if it's not within my own lifetime. Overall, I guess, when Neil was showing that the entire mass and expanse of our universe was once the size of those giant, the bigger marbles in the bag, I welled up. I got very teary because it's beautiful. I got really emotional about how beautiful the creation of our universe is. I'm doing it again. It's incredible that we started out the size of a marble, our entire almost infinite universe, and we as people are here and we're alive and we're here when things are being discovered, and we have the power to look out into our cosmos and have a glimpse at how it was created, and we come closer and closer to finding our origin every day, and it's just awe-inspiring. Especially with the information when the Philae landed on the comet that they found organic molecules on it. We're that much closer to finding out how life came to arise on Earth, and that if it's possible that there's life on other planets in our universe. It's incredible, and that word doesn't even seem like it's strong enough to describe how I feel about it. Like, there isn't a word to describe how much it affects me that we started out the size of a marble, and here we have this infinitely expanding universe. If something so expansive and complex as our universe once started out the size of a marble, it gives you hope. And if it doesn't give you hope, I don't know what to tell you. Because if something that small can become that big, so can you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.